What's up, you guys? Welcome to episode 491 of the Established Run NBA podcast. I'm Mike Gallagher, here with Drew Dinkmeyer and Austin Yamada to talk Emirates NBA Cup. It is one of our favorite things to talk about. We are obsessed with it. We will talk about all the betting angles. We'll take some other stuff on some notes we've learned from teams so far. A lot of interesting stuff for teams that are surprising. The quote-unquote bad teams in these NBA Cup groups are like not bad anymore. So we'll talk about that. A lot of surprises to start the season. Unfortunately, not the Pelicans. Austin, how's it going?
Good. Yeah. I'm excited to talk about the NBA Cup. It changes slightly year to year, but always a good time.
Yeah, it's always good, especially down the stretch when we're playing the point differential game, which we'll talk about. Dink, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, it's fun to kind of look through the betting odds. The NBA Cup group play games start tomorrow. They'll last through November 28th. The Friday after Thanksgiving will be the last night of NBA Cup group play action. And then early December, it'll be really my favorite time of NBA Cup, which is when we get some days off from the NBA grind because the NBA Cup semifinals and finals kind of play individually in Vegas. So, yeah, very excited about NBA Cup action this year.
Yeah, it should be really, really fun. So just to kind of pull back for people who don't follow it closely. So each conference has three groups, A, B, and C, and then each group within it has five teams, and they kind of they tried to basically go off last year's record, put the kind of a mixture of the good teams and the bad teams. Some of those bad teams now are like pretty good. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then, yeah, the winners of those three groups all advance, and then there's a wild card, which is obviously record. So it's probably going to be a 3-1 team that came up short, or 2-2 sometimes, that has a really good point differential. So record, obviously, and then point differential are the two tie breaks, which we could talk about that now. So on the last day of Cup Group Day, or the last possible day for the team, we've seen some crazy stuff. Obviously, Boston comes to mind. Against Chicago, that was pretty crazy. But take anything else you kind of notice just from how this, the other kind of edges. We could talk about now, like minutes per game going up at the back end. But what other kind of like macro trends have you seen in the NBA Cup in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that is some teams are playing for point differential and some teams aren't. So, early on, Oklahoma City is a team that has routinely said like they're just going to play the games the way that they would normally play the games. Whereas you've seen some other teams like Boston care about point differential. We saw Orlando really care about point differential in past seasons and in different things. And I think the context that you need to understand there is kind of generally the teams that are considered like title contenders are probably not going to adjust their approach very much. Just generally, I know like Boston did until the very last game, but in the first few games, like some of these teams that might not be title contenders, but this might be the time of their season to like have the spotlight on them. I think they might run a little bit more aggressively. You also want to be a little bit more careful with point differential stuff of betting totals in these games, as you might see fewer situations where the clock is sort of run out late in the game. You might actually see teams like trying to get shots up with 14 seconds left, up 12, and different things like that. So you just want to make sure that if you're betting into totals, that if you see like lines that like, oh, these totals look a little inflated tonight, that's probably appropriately adjusted for what is the expectation of a higher scoring environment as teams try to press point differential a little bit more. But yeah, I think it's also fun to understand, like as you get deeper into group play, what teams have something to play for and what teams don't, and how that might impact things. These are all regular season games in terms of counting for regular season standings. So everybody has something to play for, but just naturally, there's a little bit of a letdown when you're playing this like cup game and you're like 0-3 in cup play. You're probably not playing it the same way somebody else who is 2-1 in cup play and trying to like ultimately win the division or win the point differential aspect.
Yeah, and then just to add to it, so the quote unquote quarterfinals are going to be with the top two group winners. They're going to be the home team against the wild card team, and the third group winner didn't have either a better point differential or better record. And then obviously they're going to Las Vegas for the semi and the final there. And then that's when we'll see the 80 games that are played. They'll be filled in there by the teams that like didn't make the semis and quarters and stuff. Yeah, Austin, anything you want to add here on from just macro before we dive into groups?
No, I think your point on totals maybe being slightly over makes some sense to me. We don't have a ton of like sample to go off of a sweeping like observation, but I just intuitively kind of agree. Like a fourth quarter scoring could be higher scoring than I think it normally would be, and we'll see if the books adjust to that. I think also like these like I'm not as afraid to bet a blowout spread, like a heavy dog or heavy favorite spread on these really good teams. OKC's different, I think. One, because they don't care as much, but also because when they bring in their garbage unit, it's still better than the other team's garbage unit.
Mhm.
But a team like the Knicks or maybe even the Cavs, just one of these teams that are like way better, but maybe bring in lesser guys to finish it off, will hold their guys longer. And so like I'm less afraid of like laying 7.5 there or something. And I guess I'm just less afraid of like an undeserved backdoor cover, I should say.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense for sure. So let's move on to the group stuff here. Let's go through East Group A. We've got the Cavs, Hawks, Raptors, Pacers, and Wizards. This is probably one of the softest groups, I would say, given that the Wizards still aren't very good. The Pacers have fallen apart. The Raptors are playing pretty poorly. And the Hawks have been, like, not that great. Their defense has been really struggling, giving a lot of transition. The rim defense has been a disaster as well. So the Cavs are probably, they probably are the group favorite with a minus 130. Let me check that real quick. That's got to be the favorite. Yeah. Which I think is justified. So it's actually not a bad bet. They should be heavy favorites here, despite they've also played poorly as well. Dink, what do you think of this group?
Yeah, you've got the Trae Young injury as well for Atlanta that's looming here. So yeah,
actually, Dink, if I could add, if I could just jump in, remember last year Trae Young the Hawks got fined $100,000. He's going to miss another cup game. It sounds like so. They won't find him this time. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think minus 130. You know, they also have sort of a favorable schedule situation here where they get Toronto and Indiana at home. So like having Washington on the road as one of the two road games that you get in Atlanta on the road. I mean, Atlanta has some home court advantage in terms of the nightlife around Atlanta, but Washington not a super heavy home court advantage situation. So getting Toronto and Indiana both at home for Cleveland, I think is favorable. Yeah, I think minus 130 is actually bettable here. I think minus 130 is bettable, and then I think the long shot for me would actually be the Wizards at 35 to 1. Like I wouldn't bet it, but I think that's actually more compelling to me than Indiana at 8 to 1 or the Hawks at 3 to 1. But yeah, the betting side for me, and I do think it's a bet. I think Cavs minus 130 to advance out of the group is pretty solid. Like they basically have to win what do you think their odds are of winning 3 games with 2 at home against Toronto and Indiana and 2 on the road against Washington and Atlanta? I would think that it's probably around this level, if not a little bit better. My guess is, to go three out of 4 there. Yeah, my guess is it's probably around this level. So I think it's a decent bet.
Yeah, Austin, you're better at the betting math than me for sure. So what do you think of just like that number and winning 3 of those games? It feels pretty good to me.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously lean that the Cavs are going to win, but there's no play for me at these current prices. If Trae were healthy, I think I would kind of lean Atlanta just because I think they're a little depressed for how bad they've been to start the year. And you would kind of expect a little bit of gelling process with all these new players. So like, it's important to remember like these cup games aren't all tomorrow. They're spread out over the next month. But 300 isn't juicy enough for me. And Trae is kind of a lot of their ball handling. So I don't have a play on any of these 5.
Yeah, I'll add that Trae might not be out for that long. He didn't tear his ACL. He did like play through it at first, and Quinn Snyder said yesterday that the trainer was like, no, pull him out of there because he didn't have a right gait or something along those lines. So definitely a chance. I don't know. I think there's a really good chance that I think it's better than even money that the Cavs go 3-1 in this group because again they've been playing poorly, so maybe not. But I think it's kind of bettable. I don't know. The Raptors have been pretty bad. I don't really trust them to win 3 games in this group either. They get the Hawks do get the Pacers tomorrow, so they could definitely sneak that one out. So yeah, like you said, if maybe if like you hear Trae's good and like that 3 to 1 is actually not bad if it's just like day to day he misses because they're probably okay. It's in Indiana though. Let's move on. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got the next group, East Group B. We've got the Magic as the favorite at plus 210. Pistons right behind them, plus 240. Sixers plus 280, despite their 4-0 record. The Boston Celtics, I believe it's Celtics and Philly tomorrow. Yep. And then the Nets. No one wants to bet them, nor should they. They're the worst team in the NBA, worst defense, yada, yada. So, yeah, pretty even prices at the top here. with the plus 210, plus 240, plus 280. I'll go to you, Austin, first. Do you think anything stands out at those numbers, given how great Phillies look to start the season?
Yeah, so I'm looking at their schedule right now. All four of their all four of their group stage games are island games, which means Embiid is probably playing, although he hasn't been that great. And then Paul George, I think, is pretty imminent to return, and he
Is
will
that a bad
play.
thing, though?
I still think Paul George is good.
Yeah.
I actually think that like a bad Paul George isn't as destructive as a bad Joel Embiid. In the same way that a good Joel Embiid isn't or a good Paul George isn't as transformative as a good Joel Embiid. But Paul George still does a lot of things. Like he's still a versatile defender. He still has a lot of spacing, a lot of ball handling. I think Paul George is still pretty good. Joel is kind of his own beast because his magnitude of affecting the game is so large in either direction. But I would have to think that he's better than Adem Bona and Andre Drummond. So I think it has to be a positive that also the fact that if they're not playing, Nurse just runs the rest of the team into the ground. I think it's strictly a positive for Philly, more so than these other teams. I don't think that the other four teams in this division really get hurt on a back-to-back the way that Philly does. So, I've been a Philly bull every pod, I feel like, but they continue to be priced not how I would have them. If Philly does care about the cup, which we don't know that they do, but if they do, this is kind of akin to the playoff situation that we talked about on the preview pods to start the year. That's like, we don't know if Philly's health is going to sustain, but if we get into these situations where we know they care and we know they're healthy, they are better than a lot of the way that they're being priced. And they're being priced below Orlando and Detroit here. So assuming that PG and Embiid are both healthy for all four games, which is a big if, and assuming that they're trying, like this, they seem like clearly the most talented team of the five. So I would say, Philly seems like a pretty clear bet to me as the third most favorite to win.
Yeah, I kind of dig it, and I'll take the other approach. Orlando's been terrible. 29th in half-court offense. Their three-point shooting isn't much better. They're shooting all at the basket. I don't know. I have not liked what I've seen out of Orlando, and Pistons have been fine to me, but definitely Philly's been more impressive. Dink, what do you think about this? It should note too, the Celtics 4-1, number one half-court defense in the NBA. Dink, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was interested to hear if Austin was going to be on the Celtics because he's had them as undervalued. I will say from a schedule perspective, I think Philadelphia has an advantage here. Philadelphia and Detroit, I think, are the two of this group that have an advantage because they get the other good teams at home. And I think that is a small advantage to be looking at in terms of these schedules here. But if you get Brooklyn as one of your home games, I think that's a little bit of a waste, right? I'd rather play one of the other four teams that are one of the other three teams, I should say, that are more competitive at home. So Philly gets Boston, Orlando at home. Detroit gets Philadelphia and Orlando at home. Boston gets Brooklyn and Detroit at home. So I think in general, which means Orlando, they get Boston and Brooklyn at home. So I think it's a schedule edge for Philadelphia. They're also McCain is practicing in full today, so he might be kind of on the mend as well. And I think Philly, the question Austin launched about do they care about NBA Cup games? I mean, Nick Nurse is playing Tyrese Maxey 42 minutes in regulation games. I don't know how much more they can care about they care about everything in terms of the way that they're managing minutes and exposures now. So yeah, I like Philly here. It would be Philly and then maybe Detroit for me, but I'm not as big of a believer in the Celtics, and I think their schedule is a little bit tougher just in terms of having to go at Philly and at Orlando for two of their games here. So I think Philly is the bet to me from this group, and I think bettable, just like I think Cleveland is bettable in Group A.
Yeah, I think that the Wizards' long shot bet is significantly better than the Nets are just. So
that was kind of my point when I'm looking at odds across the Nets should be 2x the current pricing on the Nets. I just think they're so unlikely to win 3 of 4 games against these.
Even teams. 2, they're not going to go 500. They're terrible. We'll go to East Group C here. We've got the Knicks as a pretty decent favorite, despite the Bucks just beating them. It was in Milwaukee. Knicks plus 125, Bucks plus 360. They're playing well. First in half court offense, I believe. Heat plus 430, and their transition offense has been insane. Them and Portland just running like crazy. Bulls plus 550. Bulls, undefeated Bulls plus 550. And then the Hornets, who've been playing better, plus 900. I'm going to you first, Dink. What do you think about? I think Milwaukee's interesting here at plus 360.
We know that they have NBA Cup history,
Yep.
right? The Milwaukee Bucks have played well in the NBA Cup before. They just beat the Knicks at home. Their schedule is a little bit less compelling than some of the other top teams. They get Chicago and Charlotte at home, so they get the Knicks and Miami on the road. Um, I generally don't love the prices on this group. I think New York is a little bit more favored than they should be here, personally. So I think that's like slightly longer. I think if I was betting anything here, it might be Miami, but I'm not really that excited about play here. I don't have a bet from this group in terms of the winning. I will note that Brunson is like 27-1 to lead in points in cup play, in just group play. And I thought that was like mildly interesting, just given the opponents here, I think are very friendly for Brunson to score against, just in terms of the way that they play defense. So I thought that was like mildly interesting and compelling. Does he have, more than a 5% chance at leading, over a 4-game period in scoring? I think so. So I thought that was more bettable than anything from the group period here. If you had or make me pick a winner for the group, I'd pick the Knicks, but I don't feel nearly as confident as like minus 130 on Cleveland versus plus 125 on the Knicks with the types of opponents that they have in these groups.
Yeah, I could make a case. I would say the Magic are probably my least favorite, but the
Yeah.
Knicks are pretty close second there. So yeah, Austin. I don't know. I almost think Milwaukee's bettable. I really like what I've seen out of Giannis. He's been insane. Maybe they push his minutes up. Doc's been trying to keep him around 33. Mentioned their offense has been clicking. I think they've got enough shooting around him. I like Miles Turner fit. I don't know. I might bet that. What do you think?
I have no play here. I was going to mention the same thing Drew did about the schedule. That basically, like,
Yeah.
I think that they beat the Bulls in Charlotte regardless of venue. They're probably going to be something like 7.5 point dogs in New York,
Yeah.
and then they're probably going to be like pick'em in Miami, and that's assuming that like everybody who's healthy is healthy. That assumes Giannis gets no rest days. Um, I understand the Milwaukee love, and I think if I were forced to bet something, I just don't have a play here. I understand the Milwaukee love. I just wish the schedule were different. And and yeah, I don't know if we want to touch on top scorer later, but as Drew talked about the Brunson thing, I want to talk about Donovan Mitchell. We already scrolled past that division, but I think he's really interesting at
Yeah.
I think it's
15 to
15 to
1.
1.
Yeah.
He basically gets to face 4 of the worst defenses in the NBA, and he's not at risk of an early blow. Like, you look at his like scoring last year, and it was off the charts, and that was with Garland, and that was also like getting pulled for so many blowouts last year. Like, you get 4 games where they're guaranteed to care, not guaranteed, but likely to care about scoring differential against 4 of the worst defenses in the NBA, and he's already like one of the leading scorers in the league, and he's priced at like 15 to 1, like 7 times. Actually, that's not how math works, but he is priced. What is that? 33% for Shea, and like 6. Yeah, he's priced at like 5 times as unlikely as Shea. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah. I'll add. Mitchell should note that hamstring thing looks to be like a non-issue. Very odd timing on the injury reporting. I think Garland has a chance to be back for the second game at Washington. Does that change? I think he's got I'd call that like 50-50, maybe even like 60-40 Garland's back. Does that change your opinion at all?
No, it doesn't, because if there were going to be someone limited, it would be Garland, and
Yep.
like it would be Donovan like staying to close it out if they're up big and Garland gets pulled. So also, like, I thought that the Garland Mitchell splits were bigger than they are after doing stuff this year. Like, there are splits there, but like I guess I expected it to be like bigger. It does feel like Mobley is the one who like gets way more like just offensive responsibilities with Garland out. Donovan still does Donovan things, so doesn't really affect it meaningfully.
Yeah, I'll add too. The teams he plays are like pretty guard-friendly scoring matchups as well. Let's jump to the West here. Let's go to West Group A. We've got the Thunder as I misspoke on the Cavs. The Thunder are by far the favorite to win their group at minus 230. Good God. The Wolves a distant second at plus 400. Kings and Suns basically at no shot, 10-1, 17-1 respectively here. So that's a lot to lay, Dink. Are you doing it? And they're gonna win. They're gonna go. They're gonna go through like 3. And Utah's not even on.
Yeah,
there,
Utah's
right?
the other group. Yeah, they're
Utah's
not listed with a price on FanDuel at the moment. I'm not sure why. I don't think Utah had any injury last night.
Why price the Nets if you're not going to price the Jazz?
I'm not sure why Utah's not priced, but yeah, it's a very soft group for OKC. It's why they're the betting favorites overall. They're plus 230 overall to win the NBA Cup, which maybe Sam is betting since he's betting over 62.5 on OKC seasonal futures, but I don't know. Plus 230 seems a little short to me for like this type of format where there's some variance associated with it. I'm not betting minus 230. I don't have a long shot that I like here. The only long shot that I have that I like is on the scoring side. Mike, when do you think Anthony Edwards is coming back?
1 to 2 weeks. I'd call it like 1 to 2 weeks from now. So he'll
1 to 2 weeks from now. They first play. So you think he's for sure out on the first one?
Yes.
November 7th. That's a week. That's 8 days.
Yeah, I'd say he's a slight dog to play.
Okay. I think if you get a positive report on Anthony Edwards that you think he will be back for NBA Cup play next Friday, he is 200-1 to lead the group play in scoring. And I think this is a very friendly group outside of the matchup with OKC, obviously, which is super hard from a scoring perspective. But Utah, Phoenix, Sacramento is Ant was talking about in the offseason about really laying it up on the weaker teams in terms of trying to inflate his scoring. So that is one that if I get a good Anthony Edwards report on his availability improving or something that I think he will be available for this November 7th game, I think 200-1 is very good. If he can't play that game, that's the price. That the price is for him not being able to play that game and only being able to play 3 games. But that did stand out to me. I don't have any group advance plays, but I think OKC is the favorite, and I think minus 230 is just a little bit long for what I want to play.
Yeah, he'll be reevaluated on Monday, which it doesn't mean he's gonna be back. So hey, he's a freak though. Yeah. Maybe he is back. So that's a good call. I think we've said enough here. We can kind of move on. Not much else to add. This is just such a bad group to talk about. Let's go to West Group B. Pretty fun one here. We got the 2 LA teams plus 220 for the Clippers, plus 260 for the Lakers, Grizzlies plus 340, Mavs plus 430, and Pelicans plus 950. What are we doing here? All right, Austin, anything for you on this one? Clippers have been disappointing. Should know the Clippers have the highest turnover percentage of the NBA. Very uncharacteristic. But that's really been their issue. Everything else has been kind of fine. They're just being sloppy with the ball. Thoughts with the 2 LA teams, Memphis, Mavs, and Pelicans?
Yeah, I think Clippers are very strong here at plus 220. Just looking through it, I think that a lot of these other teams are almost guarantees to at best or at worst split some games. So for example, the Lakers play tomorrow. I haven't looked at the look ahead yet, but the Lakers play tomorrow in Memphis without Luka and LeBron. I would expect Memphis to be pretty favored there. And then also the game the Clippers face the Lakers will be in Lakers home, which is kind of a waste of a home court because they're both LA teams. The Clippers played in crypto for most of their life. It's just not the best use of a home court. So if you just look at the Clippers 4 games, they get to host the Pelicans tomorrow, which is hopefully a layup. They are at Dallas, which I think they probably should be favored there. Their away games their other away game is at LA, which is kind of a nice thing to be the away team in LA versus LA. And then their last game is hosting Memphis, and I think they should be pretty heavy favorites there too. So it seems like a lot of paths for the Clips to win 3 games here. Meanwhile, the Lakers are going to burn their first game without Luka and LeBron as probably an L. They don't get to. This is actually the case where I think the Lakers would want their first game to be home against a bad team because they are missing pieces, but they unfortunately are probably going to lose to Memphis. So then they would have to sweep the rest of their games. and they have to face the Clippers. They have to face they get at New Orleans, which is they should probably be favored, assuming they come back. But November 14th is not guaranteed that either Luka or LeBron are back. And
Luka's probably
then
back.
their last game is hosting Dallas. So I don't know. I think like the Lakers have a decent chance of being 2-2 here, and the Clippers have a decent chance of being 3-1. I think the way the schedule plays out, like Memphis has kind of a shot. I just don't really think Memphis is that good of a team. So I think it's going to lead to like a lot of. I can say this. I don't think the wild card is coming from this group. I think you're going to have to win it, and I think that the Clippers are the best bet.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. Think anything to add?
I wanted to like Memphis, but plus 340 is just too short. I wanted longer odds on that. And then the one thing that I will note that works in the Lakers' favor, if they can somehow win in Memphis, they get the Clippers at home, which like mild home court advantage, whatever. But it's at a date that they should have LeBron and Luka back. It's November 25th. And so the return date for LeBron, they mentioned November 15th, I believe, was the return date that I saw. Is that correct, Mike? Or
Yeah, ballpark. Yeah, that's what they're shooting for, quote unquote.
So I think they'll have, who knows what happens between now and then, quote Kyle Shanahan, we might not even be alive, but they should have like their full force in what is going to be the deciding game, most likely. Like that's the one note I'll have for the Lakers if they can get past Memphis. The problem is I think the Lakers are already priced as if they've already gotten past Memphis. So like I don't like if they win that game in Memphis tomorrow, like I think their pricing is just going to improve, and I don't see a lot other than betting the Clippers at plus 220 currently, because I think the plus 220 currently on the Clippers is not giving credit for the Lakers likely dropping one of these games early before they have Luka and LeBron.
Yeah, they actually match up okay against the Grizzlies. The Lakers' transition defense has been very good to start the season. They're second in transition points allowed. Yeah. So, yeah, I think they've got a shot, definitely, but it's like a flip. I could check the odds really quick, but it's got to be like pretty close to like 3.5 or less, I would imagine. So, yeah. All right, let's end strong with the toughest group. This group is just ridiculous. You've got basically 4 very good teams and 1 up-and-coming team. You've got the Nuggets at plus 190 playing awesome, first in the NBA in offense. The Warriors, insanely good play overall. They've basically been one of the best teams in the NBA, if not for that back-to-back in Portland, which they were just dead in the water there. The Rockets, their offense has been clicking. The big lineup's working. They're getting improved play all around. Even Reed Shepherd had a pretty good game yesterday. Obviously, the Spurs we'll talk a lot about. And then Portland, we mentioned, they are turning teams over. I wrote about it in matchups today. Let me get the stat here. So last year the Thunder led the NBA with like 17 turnovers per game. The Blazers are at 23 forced per game. Just insane. They basically have this ball pressure stuff's been really, really fun. They're plus 1,400. Tough group though. So yeah, Austin, what do you think about this group of death?
It is definitely a group of death. I take offense to the comment that there's 4 really good teams because I would not, no need to call Golden State Warriors an up-and-coming team. I think that the Blazers are probably too steep here. I don't think I can bet it. I don't.
They do get Denver at home tomorrow too, the Blazers, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I don't know. None of these, like I'm looking at all 4 of their cup games, and none of them seem like, oh, like that's an easy one. I guess you could say that for the entire group, but I don't really like anything here. I think if you were like giving me like a free play chip and said go put it on something, it's probably Portland. But yeah, I mean, I think there's enough. The other team that's like really locked in right now, and also like the market has a ton of respect for, is Golden State. If you compare Golden State's like regular season win total to how they're being priced right now, they're being priced as like one of the best teams in the NBA on a game-to-game basis right now. And this price reflects closer to their regular season win total price than their like current price. So like, I think there's slight value in Golden State and there's slight value in Portland. I don't think I could bet Portland. So if I were forced to, it's Golden State or Portland for me, but I don't think this is like bet worthy. Nothing stands out to me as like, must bet.
Yeah, and then I mean, got to talk about Wemby, man. The Spurs are seventh in offense, top five in defense. Their transition defense has been fantastic. They are killing teams at the basket right now. Um, talk about top scorer, just to bring that up real quick. I mean, he's been lighting it up. Where is he at here?
Yeah, he's 14-1.
14-1. Okay, so Dink, and want to make any? I thought the Spurs. I don't want to bet it for sure, but I don't know. I'm kind of buying the Spurs.
I like
Probably get De'Aaron Fox back for at least some of these games.
I look at all these lines, and honestly, like I just don't like Denver and I don't like Houston.
Yeah.
And so I think like I could be talked into Golden State, San Antonio, and like Austin said, like a free chip play on Portland. But Golden State and San Antonio are the ones that are most interesting to me. I do think there's like, obviously this is priced in the difficulty of this group in terms of the overall odds, but I think Golden State is like 16-1 overall to win the cup. And I think if you can get them through the group stage, you will feel really great about them, no matter what seeding situation they are at that price. Which look, it's priced in terms of how difficult it is to get out of the group stage. One other note that I'd have for Golden State is they get Denver soon. They get them next Friday, I believe, on the 7th in Denver. So it's a tough spot there. But, it's not on a back-to-back for Golden State. And I think it's better to get Denver sooner than later. I think Denver is still like working through some chemistry stuff with Cam Johnson, who's also dealing with like a little bit of a shoulder issue as well. And I think that's impacting some of the flow of their offense right now, even though they have like the best offense in the league. I think it's like impacting things a little bit in a way that like I think a month from now it won't. And so I think from that perspective, Golden State's home games in this one are Portland and Houston. So they go on the road for San Antonio and for Denver. I don't think it's a particularly great schedule advantage, with the exception of like I think it's better for them to get Denver earlier with where these two teams are, because I think more time gives Golden State the likelihood of older guys getting a little bit worn down, and more time for Denver gives them the opportunity to like gel a little bit more as a total unit. So I like Golden State slightly here. I'm probably honestly more likely to play the 16-1 on Golden State to win the cup as a whole, which I think is a fairly interesting price. The problem obviously is like you have to get through this group and then you have to beat OKC at some point, most likely. So it's not like it's a bargain price, but I just think Golden State is the second best team in the NBA right now. And I think I don't mind 16-1 on what I feel is the second best team in the league, even if they have to play a lot of the best teams to get through it. I think now is the best time for them to do that. Like in some ways, if you put the NBA playoffs right now, I think Golden State would have better odds to win the title than they will, when we get to April. Just because I think this is the healthiest that they could potentially be all season. Everybody's healthy right now.
Yeah, and Kuminga's playing the best. Kuminga hasn't had a bad game yet. Imagine
we've had great Kuminga all season long so far.
Yeah, this is insane. So I'm with you. Shout out to me for the Warriors over on the pod. But yeah, I guess we can kind of pull it out, like you said, two winners here. So we've got at the top the Thunder. We talked about them being plus 230. Anybody here jump out for you, Austin? I know Dink shouted out the Warriors at plus 1600. Anybody else you think deserves a little bit of love? The Cavs are going to get through, and they're plus 500, and maybe they could beat OKC or whoever in the final. So I don't know. Don't feel that bad.
So a couple of them are just going to be repeat names that I mentioned before. I think the Clips at 20-1 is pretty good value. I think that, I agree that Golden State is decent value here. And then the third team I wanted to mention is actually one that I was kind of down on for a group winner, but Milwaukee at 33-1. I think because of their schedule to get into group play, I didn't love it, but just like Giannis staying healthy and getting through, and then we know that they try. We know that Doc tries. We have history here. We know that Giannis cares about getting money for his teammates. 33-1. Just like if you look at like where they're priced around, I think they're being priced below like teams that I think aren't as good, along with the fact that I think that they have an easier path. So one thing to mention too about why I didn't like Milwaukee for the group winners, that I just think it's going to be the Knicks. But like, I don't think that the rest of this division is that good, especially compared to some of the other divisions we're talking about. So I think the Bucks are live for a wild card spot.
The wild card.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And so like, I think that they have a decent shot of getting a spot. And then they just have to win 3 games at 33-1. 33-1 is like, if you just gave every team an equal chance, it's 29-1. So I think it's kind of crazy to me that they are like a below average odds to win it all.
The tricky part is they're going to need Washington and Brooklyn to play competitive
I
basketball
was
in
just
the
going
other
to say that.
groups, because that they don't have the advantage of like the bottom feeder team to like real, like it's Charlotte and Chicago, like, and right now those two teams are playing well. So that's going to be the thing for point differential. They're going to really, the good news is they're playing teams that will play fast, so the point differential could get wider, just naturally on those game environments. But yeah, Austin backing the defending champs, the NBA Cup champions from last year, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, I think Cleveland's going to get through. So I don't hate Cleveland. They're playing really poorly right now. They're not rebounding very well. Their half court offense is the same. Their 3-point shooting has been kind of meh. Definitely not clicking. They look nothing like they did last year. I don't even think it's just Garland. So,
But would you take like, let's say for Cleveland to beat, let's say like Milwaukee or the Knicks and OKC or Golden State or someone like that, and like another like pretty solid team right in the quarters?
yeah,
I don't know. Like I wouldn't parlay that for like
no,
for
yeah.
5-1. So I think it's just the odds are too short.
Yeah, they're too short. Yeah, you're better off just taking long shots. So yeah, I think of all the things you guys said, I think Milwaukee's the best one. I think I don't know. I'm kind of buying Milwaukee. Like Giannis is freaking out of this world. Doc got asked about that. This is the best he's ever seen. He didn't say yes, but I don't know. I kind of think he is. And hey, Kyle Kuzma was really good. He guarded Karl Anthony Towns. AJ Green's been pretty good. Byron Rollins had a fantastic game, career high. Like they're getting on the periphery plenty of play. So I don't know. I think that if you want to take a shot, I feel pretty strongly that the Bucks are the best, and you can make a case Sixers too. I think the Sixers, and also I'm surprised you guys didn't mention Tyrese Maxey as a long shot play. I mean, the guy's
scorer,
yeah,
17-1 though. Like I don't. Yeah, I mean, I
doesn't
don't
he
know.
lead the NBA in scoring right now?
He probably does. He's been off to an exceptional
he
start,
does.
but they're going to get more depth back, like potentially with Paul George, potentially with McCain. Like, is he going to keep playing 42 minutes a night? I don't know.
Well, Luka technically leads him, but he only played.
Yeah, and as Embiid plays more, will the scoring sustain? So I don't know. I think he's fine at 17-1, but I like Brunson at 27-1 as my favorite. And then if Anthony Edwards is trending to playing Friday, I'm hopping on 200-1 as quickly as I can.
Yeah, that'd be like the first thing you do is log in your sportsbook and grab that.
Yeah, you see a good report on Anthony Edwards, and you know you're going to NBA betting cup odds is where you're going.
For sure. Austin, any other point guys for you to hit? I think you mostly covered it.
Just looking through now. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's like I mentioned Donovan. The other ones that are of like mild interest to me, Cam Thomas at 12,500 seems like some value. Just because like we saw the 40 ball. I really think like, one thing that depresses Cam Thomas's points line on like if you're just going through these and being like, okay, well, Cam Thomas is usually priced around 23.5 points, which doesn't seem like someone that has a chance at leading. It's because Brooklyn has a great shot at getting blown out every night. And like, you would think that they're going to stay in it longer and just, he's going to keep chucking shots. And like, I think 12,500 is just too.
That does sound too long.
For Cam Thomas. Like it's like, I don't know. I just like 125-1 payout, and like look at some of the people above him. Like Jaren Jackson is priced at plus 8,000. Like this man couldn't get us 21 points last night. Like playing the entire game. Like Jaren Jackson, if he plays at the buzzer, is playing like 29 to 30 minutes. Cam Thomas, if he's playing at the buzzer, is playing like mid 30s with every shot he could possibly want. So I don't know. I guess Cam Thomas. I'm looking through like anything else. I don't see. Yeah, I really don't see. Like if you had some read that like Luka or LeBron was going to miss more time, obviously like Austin Reeves at 125,000 is also, or sorry, 12,500 is also like, like really good too. But if you got some negative report on the Lakers, I think that's worth a shot.
You're going to get one game with those two out because it's tomorrow. So it's the three others. Like how much can you pile up in tomorrow's game essentially against the Grizzlies? Which I don't know. I mean, Cedric Howard looked pretty good defensively on Booker, and Booker still put up 30 plus. So
but I think Cam and Donovan are the only two that like stand out to me as like bettable.
Yeah, I like that. And like you said, the NBA is not going to want them to play their whole roster. I think they want to kind of have the best product on the floor. So I like that shot for sure. All right, this was fun. This is I can't wait for these. I love these NBA Cup games. Last question: do you guys like the floors? I love the floors. Austin, do you like the floors?
I do not like the floors, but I do like that they do something so that like when a casual turns on the game and asks like what's going on, you know that it's like something different. With like I don't know, like 2K getting more realistic, like you see like like grandparents thinking like that's just the game they're watching. So it's nice to like nice to see the floors and being like, okay, well this is something.
Yeah.
I think they could have made it more aesthetically pleasing, but this isn't what I spend my time raging about.
Yep. I don't know. I like it. It's different. I like different stuff. Dink, your thoughts on the floors? You could wrap us up.
I'm with Austin. I agree with the differentiation that I think is really good, and I like that it feels like different and like a party. Some of the displays to me are like offensively like vibrant in a way that I like. I'm like, could you please turn that down? Just like I'm too old. Like please turn it down a notch. Like it's Friday night. I need this turned down a little bit. So yeah, but no, it's good to have something different, and I like that I like the energy that the NBA Cup brings to the early part of the NBA season, which is often a slog. So I'm excited for it.
Cool. Do you want to wrap us up with any promos? We've got back on track a little bit.
Yeah, we're working our way back on the prop side of things. We've got the full stat projection package. We've also got the props package, enhancements that we've made to the packages this year on all DFS package, props, and full stat projections. We've added scenario projections so you can see the if-thens for player questionable tags and injuries, help you prep in advance of news for both DFS and for the betting side of things. We add an NBA info channel as well where we're trying to break news and get news and information to subscribers as quickly as possible from all the beats that we follow across the various social media accounts, giving starters jerseys, watches, and different things like that as we're trying to find information that can be valuable to subscribers earlier than the market. So we've added those as upgrades to the product. We're really proud of all the work that we're putting in on the product. We've added an extra show on the DFS product with the top plays show that comes out. So we've got 3 different shows of content during the course of the day with an injury show, a top play show, and a DFS strategy show. So got lots of great content going on for the DFS side of things, and lots of great information and actionable information that we're trying to make on both the DFS and the betting side of things. So go to establishtheRun.com/subscribe for more details on the NBA products.
All right. Can't wait for NBA Cup. Appreciate you guys. Catch you next time.